I have cared for older Americans long enough to know that a harmless-looking snack can quietly shape tomorrow's blood pressure reading and next month's cholesterol panel, and that is why I am asking you to pause before the next handful. The danger is simple, and it is easy to miss. The wrong nut in the wrong form, repeated day after day, can nudge your arteries toward stiffness, invite inflammation that tires the brain, and raise the pressure inside the vessels that feed your heart. Do not panic, because the fix begins right now, and it is kinder than you think. Place a small portion of plain unsalted almonds or walnuts on your counter for tomorrow, and let me guide you through a smarter way to choose the rest. From years at the bedside, I have seen how nuts act like a double-edged tool in people over 60. On the plus side, when they are raw or dry, roasted without added salt or sugar, stored cool, and eaten in modest amounts, they deliver fiber that steadies digestion, vitamin-rich oils that bathe nerve cells, and minerals that help blood vessels relax, all of which support steadier energy and better heart rhythm. On the minus side, when they are heavily salted, oil roasted until they taste burnt, left warm in an open jar, or chosen from the bottom shelf where turnover is slow, they can carry damaged oils, excess sodium, or traces of contamination. And that is exactly what an aging kidney, a medicated liver, and a vulnerable heart do not need. This is not opinion. Large cohort studies in respected cardiology journals keep finding that the pattern of nut intake matters, and guidance from the American Heart Association and the National Institutes of Health continues to support unsalted nuts in small daily portions, while warning that preparation and storage change the health impact. The goal is balance rather than fear. Your body after 60 thrives when you pick the right kind in the right form at the right dose. That is your advantage. The drawback to remember is that even wholesome nuts are energy-dense and can push weight upward if you eat beyond your hunger. And certain varieties carry more omega-6 fats or spoil faster, which can stir inflammation or taste off. Use your senses as your first test. If a nut smells like old paint, or tastes sharply bitter, or coats your mouth with a greasy film, it belongs in the trash, not in your bloodstream. Take one slow breath, and let me lead you step by step. I will speak plainly, keep the action small and safe, and give you the why so every choice feels respectful and informed. For tonight, pour a modest serving of those plain almonds or walnuts and set them aside for breakfast. Then stay with me, because in the next part, I will show you the handfuls that strengthen bones and protect vessels, and I will also name the ones that deserve a lighter touch in an older body so you can enjoy your snack without gambling with your health. In the quiet of my clinic, I have often seen older men and women lean on a dish of mixed nuts as if it were a safe medicine, and I have had to break the uneasy news that this trust is not always earned. Past the age of 60, your body changes in ways that turn certain nuts into steady friends and others into subtle enemies. A handful may help bone strength, lower blood pressure, and brighten the mind. Yet another handful from the same bowl can stress the liver, stir inflammation in tired joints, or dull memory itself. That is why tonight, I want you to take a small but powerful step. Pour only what fits into your palm. Choose raw or dry roasted without added salt, and you will already lighten the burden on your heart and kidneys without giving up the comfort of the snack you love. I speak not only from bedside stories, but from careful research. Large trials reported in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology and ongoing guidance from the National Institutes of Health keep showing that nut patterns matter. They are rich in protective oils, fiber, and minerals, but the wrong choice or careless storage can turn them into carriers of sodium, rancid fats, or contaminants that your body after 60 can no longer handle with ease. The advantage of understanding this is that you keep the gains, from stronger bones to steadier vessels and sharper recall, while avoiding the weight gain, the hidden toxins, or the digestive strain that come with the wrong varieties. The drawback, often missed in cheerful magazine articles, is that moderation and preparation make the difference, not just the type of nut. My promise is not to scare you, but to show you a clear path where the good outweighs the harm. And to keep your curiosity alive, I will tell you that the very first nut we will explore is one almost every American pantry already holds. A nut that quietly feeds bone tissue more than most people imagine. That is where our next step together begins. When I step into the kitchen with patients who fear their bones are thinning or their memory is slipping, I remind them that not every answer comes in a bottle. After 60, bones lose density, arteries tighten, and thoughts sometimes blur. But 4 simple nuts have proven again and again that they can press back against that tide. The almond is where I usually begin. Small and unassuming, it carries calcium and vitamin E in a partnership with magnesium that moves minerals into bone instead of into artery walls. I have watched older women who were told to fear fractures keep walking confidently because they made almonds a quiet habit. The advantage is lasting strength for bone and smoother cholesterol profiles. The drawback is that almonds are firm and fibrous, and without careful chewing they can catch in the throat, especially for those with fragile teeth or dry mouths. The walnut comes next, looking like the very brain it guards. Its omega-3 fats called alpha-linolenic acid fortify the membranes of brain cells, and research published in the Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who ate walnuts daily for weeks scored higher on tests of mental agility. The advantage is a clearer mind, better sleep from natural melatonin, and healthier vessels. The drawback is that walnut oil turns rancid quickly when left in a warm pantry, and bitter nuts give away that change, which is why I tell my patients to keep them in the refrigerator. Pistachios are my third ally, softer to chew and gentle on aging gums, yet mighty against rising blood pressure. Their balance of potassium and sodium nudges kidneys to release salt, and I remember a man in his late 60s whose pressure eased when he traded chips for pistachios. The advantage is also in their eye pigments, lutein and zeaxanthin, which settle in the retina to slow vision loss. The drawback is their easy charm. When shelled, they disappear by the handful, and that is why I encourage leaving them in the shell so the pace stays slow. The Brazil nut stands at the top for thyroid health. Just 1 or 2 bring enough selenium to spark hormone activity that sets the rhythm for energy, mood, and metabolism. The advantage is profound support for both thyroid and nerve function, even guarding the myelin sheath that speeds reflexes. The drawback is that excess selenium builds up quickly, and fatigue or nausea follow if you eat too many. Balance is the lesson here. Almonds protect bone, walnuts feed the brain, pistachios steady the heart and eyes, Brazil nuts tune the thyroid, but each one carries a limit. Respect that boundary, and you gain decades of steadier health. Push past it, and even a gift can turn heavy. Stay with me, because the next step is to face the nuts that look harmless, but hide the kind of risks that older bodies should never ignore. I have to share the harder side of this story, the one that patients often hope is not true. Some nuts that seem harmless, even wholesome, can place a quiet weight on the older body. And I have seen the results more times than I care to count. Take the peanut, for example. It is not a nut at all, but a legume that grows underground. And that is why it so often harbors molds that produce aflatoxin, a chemical the aging liver clears less efficiently. I remember a man in his early 70s with aching joints and creeping blood pressure who never suspected that his daily peanut butter habit might be adding fuel to the fire. The advantage of peanuts is obvious. They are affordable, packed with plant protein, and easy to find. The drawback is sharper. Their omega-6 fats stoke inflammation, their storage risks aflatoxin, and their natural vitamin K can conflict with common blood thinners. Cashews tell a similar story. Smooth and sweet, they wear a health halo but carry enough starch to push blood sugar up in minutes. Many older women I treat who live with diabetes notice the surge after a few handfuls. Cashews also hold oxalates that block calcium absorption and raise the chance of kidney stones, a problem that multiplies with age. The advantage is that they are soft, tasty, and supply minerals. But the drawback is the glycemic impact and the heavy processing needed to strip away natural toxins, which robs them of nutrition. Macadamias, rich and buttery, seem like luxury. Yet they are the most calorie-dense of all, packing more fat into a small serving than any other nut. For an older metabolism that burns fuel more slowly, that richness adds pounds without mercy and can even stress the gallbladder. I once followed a woman who could not explain her steady weight gain until we uncovered her quiet daily macadamia ritual. The advantage is their monounsaturated fats, yet the drawback is their high saturated fat content and extreme calorie load. Then come pine nuts, small and slick, and in many ways, the most treacherous. Beyond the strange pine nut syndrome that leaves a bitter taste for weeks and robs appetite, they also interact with a wide circle of medications common after 60, from statins to antihypertensives. Their advantage is culinary, lending flavor to pesto and salads, and they provide polyunsaturated fats. But the drawback is severe. They spoil quickly. They can inflame tissue through oxidation, and for anyone with swallowing trouble, they pose a real aspiration risk. The point is not to inspire fear, but to offer awareness. Each nut carries both gifts and shadows, but in the 7th decade of life, the shadows of these 4 often outweigh the light. That is why I gently guide patients to switch. Almonds where peanuts once sat, walnuts instead of cashews, pistachios in place of macadamias, Brazil nuts instead of pine. In this way, the pleasure of a snack remains, while the burden on aging organs lightens. This is what food as medicine truly means, a series of simple choices that turn a risk into a source of strength. And as we move toward the close of our journey, I want you to see how these small decisions shape not only your health, but the years you still have ahead. There is one lesson I hope you hold close tonight. Past the age of 60, the smallest choice at your own table can shape how strong your steps feel, how clear your thoughts remain, and how steady your heart beats. It may seem like nothing more than a snack, but I have watched the act of reaching for one nut instead of another tilt the course of blood pressure, bone health, and memory. The advantage of honoring that choice is that every handful becomes quiet medicine, delivering oils that soften vessels, fiber that steadies digestion, and minerals that guard bones and nerves. The drawback of turning away is that the wrong habit, repeated day after day, chips at energy, clouds the mind, and taxes the organs that already work harder in later years. Harvard researchers have traced how small dietary shifts compound over time, and the National Institutes of Health continues to emphasize that steady consistency matters more than perfection. This is why I never ask you to live in fear or to count every bite. I ask you only to notice and to choose with a little more care. Trade a risky nut for a safer one a few days each week. Buy them fresh, chew them slow, and watch as your body thanks you with steadier energy and a calmer heart. I think of patients who once felt far older than their age until they made these changes. Months later, they were walking longer trails, sleeping through the night, and greeting neighbors by name with ease. That is the quiet power of a habit respected. Do not underestimate it, for your body is always listening and always responding. Health in these years is not built by drastic gestures, but by the small, faithful choices that stack up into resilience. Let this be your reminder that change remains possible, that every day offers a chance to strengthen your story rather than narrow it, and that the life you value is still within your reach. I want to close tonight not with my words alone, but with yours, because your experience carries a weight that no journal article can match. I have offered you the lessons of research and years at the bedside, yet the truth of how these foods touch real lives comes from people like you. Think for a moment about the nut that has touched your health most clearly. Did almonds strengthen your bones? Did walnuts sharpen your thoughts? Did pistachios calm your blood pressure? Or did another leave you aching or unsettled? Your voice matters, And the advantage of sharing is that it lights a path for someone who may be stumbling in the same shadows you once faced. The drawback of keeping quiet is that those same neighbors remain alone, wondering if anyone else has felt what they feel. I invite you to write a comment telling us which nut changed your health for better or worse, and to read the stories left by others. In this way, we form a circle of support that stretches far beyond one living room or one kitchen. Together, we can create a living library of wisdom that no textbook will ever hold. A chorus of real lives guiding each other towards steadier years. If this conversation has given you even one useful thought, I hope you will stay with me by subscribing so you never miss the next step we take together. Health becomes lighter when it is carried side by side, and I am grateful that tonight I have walked this path with you.